Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullip, along here with Scott Micklin.
Good morning. It is Thursday, August 6th.
That's right.
Week 21, we've decided.
That's right.
Yes.
Although I always forget, in the interim between Monday and Thursday.
Okay. But here we are.
Corona time.
We are week 21.
Yes.
So welcome, everyone. We're glad that you are with us. This is our COVID-19 local information program. And we do this every Monday and Thursday on KSJE, live at 9 on Facebook and YouTube. And, of course, it is also rebroadcast at noon on KNMI radio, vertical radio in Farmington, and also at 5:06 p.m. here on KSJE radio for our radio listeners. So we're glad that you are all with us this morning. On the show today, we have a great show planned because we're going to be talking in just a few moments with Sally Marquez. She is the Executive Director with the New Mexico Activities Association, and they have been, of course, trying to figure out school sports and activities amid COVID-19 and public health orders and all the different things that we're hearing about. So, interesting
tall order
conversation there, right? And it's like 60,000 high school students she's dealing with across the state.
60,000 high school students, and then 27 activities, and then all the sports, which I can't remember the number of sports, but
a lot.
Yeah,
it is a lot. And then later we're going to talk to Jenny Ryan from the Farmington Public Library about some of the resources that they're able to offer during this time, and some of the on-site things and the things you can access from home online. So that's the show.
That'll be great.
Yeah, so that's how we're starting. So,
cool. Let's do it.
Good with you? Okay.
Yeah, good with you.
All right.
It is.
Okay, good.
It's great with me.
Very good. Well, let's go to Sally Marquez and hear what she has to say from the New Mexico Activities Association. Joining us this morning to talk a little bit about the New Mexico Activities Association. The group's executive director, Sally Marquez, is on the phone. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. How are you guys today?
Very well, thank you. We wanted to talk a little bit about the NMAA, of course, and to start with, could you kind of give our audience a bit of an idea of just how many activities the NMAA is involved with each year?
We are involved in more than people think. We have 160 high schools and 200 middle schools that are member schools of our organization. And within that, we sanction 13 sports and over 25 activities. And that's the one area, I think the activity world is the one area that people think that we're an athletic association, but our name is Activities Association because we do both athletics and activities.
And those activities would be things like what? Remind us a little bit about what those are.
Speech and debate, esports, FFA, English Expo, all your CTSOs, science fairs. So, things like that, and rodeo. We do a variety of, from, like I said, from English to bowling, so about 25 activities along with all our sports.
Very interesting. Well, thank you. And I knew that it was a lot, and I wanted to make sure that we kind of covered that and let our audience know a little bit. So let's talk about what's going on now in the world of COVID-19, because that certainly has disrupted what you normally would be doing this time of year, right?
It's disrupted it, but it doesn't change the fact that we are going to play all sports in 2021 school year and do all the activities. We were just talking about activities, and so I met with our activity directors statewide, and we're going to do a lot of things virtually with those activities. And then athletics, yes, it's disrupted. Football and soccer have been moved to a February 22nd start date, which is, yes, a little bit different. However, if you look at the calendar, we are still going to participate in all sports this school year.
So will the seasons be the same length as they usually are?
No, the seasons will be shorter. We will probably have about a 9 to 10 week season per sport. You will see a few overlaps, a lot more than we usually have. Sometimes we do have an overlap from one sport to the other, but now that we are moving football and soccer into a February time frame, there are different overlaps that are challenges this year. But I have met with all the coaches and all the athletic directors, and we are assuring our student athletes that do multiple sports that we are going to make it happen. And there's some kids that may be playing two sports at one time for a couple of weeks. But we want to assure all our student athletes that they will still be able to play the multi-sports that they do participate in.
And Sally Marquez, can you talk to us a little bit about the decision-making process that went into moving these major sports to the spring? And I know this was in concert, I would assume, with the governor's public health orders and things along that line. But is there other stuff that went into making this decision?
Well, when all this started, I put Plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G together, and I still have all these plans. Because as you know, COVID-19, it changes every week. Something changes and what's happening. But when the governor decided that we were going to not do soccer and football, our contact sports, any longer in the fall, that is when I went into my Plan B, and I had the plan already as how that would work if we did have to shift our contact sports to the second semester after January. So I was really prepared. So when she did go and announce that, I was able to send out the plan immediately. So at least our student athletes and our coaches still knew that we were going to play the sports that they love.
Got you. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer here, but is it possible that if things don't improve by the spring, you may not be able to have those contact sports even 6 months out?
Yeah, you're being Debbie Downer.
I know. I'm sorry.
Negative Nancy.
But like I said, we have multiple plans, and the superintendents have been wonderful throughout the state, and they are supporting, and they understand that our student athletes and our activities, all our kids participating in activities as well, that this is very important to them. You talked about the NMAA. We have 65,000 students statewide that participate in at least one sport or one activity. So we touch a lot of kids, and it's very important that we do have all our sports and all our activities. So I do have plans beyond that, but our superintendents, what they have done, if you looked at the calendar, that is something different than last year, is we will be playing high school sports and doing some activities through the end of June. The superintendents have allowed us to go to the summer months, even after graduations, in order to allow kids to participate.
That makes sense. And I have a question about college scouting specifically. Normally, scouts are looking at student athletes and then asking them to make sort of a commitment to their schools. And, of course, there's admissions deadlines. This has a lot to do with some folks' ability to even pay for school. How do you think that's going to be impacted?
Well, I think that people don't understand as well, and this is the information that needs to get out. We are in the National Federation of High Schools. They are our umbrella, and that's the national organization. There's 51 state associations, so we have 50 states, and the Washington, D.C. are under the National Federation, and they are actually in the same building as the NCAA. So we are in constant contact with the NCAA and all our high school associations. Right now, the NCAA is not even allowing anybody to be recruited at this point, or them to go see anybody. So as we shift, the NCAA is shifting. And so at this point, the change in the calendar will not affect any student athletes from being looked at or recruited, because we have our eye on all those opening recruiting periods.
Great. That's a really, really helpful clarification. I know many folks have been worried about that. Switching gears to activities for a bit, what kind of activities are going virtually that you know of right now, and what kinds are allowed to meet in person?
At this point, the only one that, the activities are not allowed to meet in person. The only activity that is going on a little bit at this point, but it is not school-driven, it is parent-driven, is some livestock shows going around state where they're showing their livestock. But however, that is not school-driven. That is within the county fairs, or I don't know if they're not called fairs anymore. The county does their livestock shows. But all our activities are online. We have decided that one of our fastest-growing activity is esports. And we usually have our competition from January to the beginning of May at esports, but this year we are going to have 2 seasons of esports. We're going to have a season in the fall as well as a season in the spring in order to keep kids engaged during this time. I know speech and debate, FCCLA, student council, all of them, all 26 of them, except bowling. I think bowling's a challenging one right now, but even junior ROTC are working in the 5-to-1 pods that are allowed to with the governor. So all of them are doing all that they can to keep the students engaged during this time. But virtual competitions will be taking place beginning this fall.
Got it. And Sally Marquez, talk to me a little bit about a message for parents. I mean, they may have some students in their household that's a little disappointed if they were planning to be on the soccer field this fall or the football field. And what's your message to parents to keep those athletes maybe training, keep them positive? Because, as you mentioned, these things are going to happen. You're planning for them to happen in the spring.
It's tough, and I have been doing since the middle of March, since we were shut down at state basketball when we had to continue that state tournament without fans, and this all hit. Every Monday I have a weekly Q&A that we videotape, and that message has been from the mid-March is for us to stay positive and that we will play sports again, and we will play sports again. It's just frustrating because we're used to the norm, and right now it's not the norm, and we have to think outside the box in order for this to happen. But to all the parents and all the student athletes, I am very confident that we will be playing sports. If you didn't see the news yesterday or the day before, the news was about Colorado Association also moved their football and soccer to the exact same time period as we have. So we are not the only state that is moving. And you know, you guys are really close to the border right there in Durango and, you know, all of those schools in that area where they're going to be playing football and soccer in February in the same time frame. So everybody, you know, nationwide we're in the same boat, and we're all making it work in order to have sports this year. So to all the parents and the kids, we have to stay positive. I know it's frustrating, but we just got to continue to train because we are going to play sports. You are going to get that opportunity. And I have said since spring sports were canceled last year, I just cannot go through another time when I tell student athletes that they aren't going to be able to play the sports that they love. And so I will do everything in my power to make sure that we do play sports in some way, some fashion this next school year.
Very good. And I have a question about activities being moved online. Is there a particular platform you guys use for that?
Well, what goes on is if you go to our website at www.nmact.org, we do have an activities page, and then each individual activity has their own page. And so on that page, you will see different links and what is going on in the activity world. So our activities directors, our sponsors at our schools are well aware of what's taking place in the activity world. But they are doing a fantastic job, too. They, you know, we always talk about sports, but I would tell you that activities are so important for our students. Not only at the high school level, but the middle school level. And so those sponsors are making it work that our students will be able to do the activities that not many people know about. But, you know, the one activity, and I will tell you, the one activity that we are struggling with at this point, we are still waiting on a national, not survey, it's a national study that is going on. It is band, choir, and spirit. Those are the three that we are still waiting because of the droplets, blowing a wind instrument, singing in a choir. Even if you're 6 feet, you're still, having droplets because you're exerting a little bit more through the mouth. And then also chanting in spirit. So that study should be coming out here very shortly. And once we get that study, the Music Educators Association, who is in conjunction with us working with the music area, they are aware of it and working very hard as to how to make music work for the 2021 school year as well.
Very good. Well, we will look forward to getting that guidance and maybe have you back to give us an update on those sports and activities.
Yeah, anytime. You can call me and we'll update you.
Perfect. Well, Sally Marquez from the New Mexico Activities Association, thank you very much for joining us with this update. And again, as you mentioned, I know there are more than 60,000 students across our state depending on you, and thankful for the work that you and your staff are doing. So thanks very much.
Well, thank you. And like I said, we just stay positive, and I always end with, we will play again, New Mexico.
And there you go. That is Sally Marquez. She is with the New Mexico Activities Association. We appreciate her being with us today on KSJE. Very informative. I know a lot of parents are wondering for their kids what they're going to do.
Yes.
And so there's a little shift in schedules, and I know they're working on, as she mentioned, things like choir, band, and all those different things that have a little bit higher risk perhaps than some of the other things.
There is a national study that they're doing on like the safety of singing and band and stuff like that. So I know that they're all waiting for that to come out. But I know, because some people, some kids, that's like why they go to school. It's an extracurricular activity. They just want to play football or whatever, and so
exactly,
it can be tough.
Makes a lot of sense. Let's check some numbers real quick as we are visiting here. We have the Johns Hopkins numbers. I know that you.
I love the dashboard.
You love the dashboard, and there it is. So that map is still pretty red.
That's right. So we have total cases in the United States alone is 18,847,261, which is gigantic.
Right.
Truly. And then the total deaths so far is 708,469. Also a gigantic number.
That is a big number.
It really is. If you think about the stories that we hear about individuals who die, they tend to be so much more impactful. I feel like our brain maxes out at some point, and they just start sounding like numbers. But
sure, well, no, that's true, and we've talked about these big gigantic numbers, and what does that mean? And we talk about even in New Mexico, how many cases that we have as we move along, and kind of put that into maybe perspective of how many people that is.
Right. I mean, early on when it was reached just over 100, the New York Times released that tome, and it was just pages and pages of obituaries, and that was only like 150 deaths or something like that.
Exactly. So. As you look at the KSJE.com website, again with the New Mexico cases from last night, we're now at 21,566. That's an increase of 229. As of Wednesday in San Juan County, we had 10 additional cases. There were 9 additional deaths across our state, but none of those were in San Juan County. And we had 143 new recoveries reported. And so I think that's significant, as we like to share these things with everybody. And so the other page of that, the local news that we were talking about, there are the numbers from New Mexico, the numbers from the Navajo Nation. And then the other story that I think is worth noting for local businesses is the governments of San Juan County, Farmington, Aztec, and Bloomfield announced yesterday that they were applying to the state for some of the small business and business grants, and then businesses can apply to the municipalities to try to get some of these funds to try to keep their businesses open and help pay for things, and that's what the state has tried to put forward. And so that is coming down, and so there's details about how to apply and what the timeline is. The cities have to apply and the county has to apply to get approved by the state, and then the businesses can apply to those local entities.
Sure.
So that's what's going on.
That's helpful.
So there you go. I believe our next guest is on the phone.
Great.
That we can go and talk to her. Good morning. You're on KSJE. Thanks for calling in this morning.
Hey, it's Jenny Lee.
Jenny Lee Ryan from the Farmington Public Library. Thank you very much for joining us. And there, oh dear. I'm sorry. We have a photo on the screen that probably isn't a current photo, but
you look like you're from the Breakfast Club.
Sorry about that.
Is that my glamour shot?
So sorry.
Yes.
Someone on the staff must have just pulled that off the website.
You're not sorry at all.
Here's it. Well, now that's not any better, is it?
No, that's a nice brooding Jenny Lee.
Yeah, we don't. That's not better. No, hold on. Okay, that's better. That looks like you.
Someone from your staff, we all don't know it's you.
Someone from the staff, obviously. Anyway, it's nice to have you on the show, Jenny Lee Ryan from the Farmington Public Library. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to do this again.
Okay, that's a fair statement, I guess. I'll have a talk with some of our staff to, explain about photos, proper usage.
Yeah, sure.
But we're glad that you're with us because we want to talk about the library. And I know the library recently reopened to the public, right?
We opened June 8th for checkouts only.
Right.
So you can come in, you can select your books, you can check out, and then you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Right. So you kind of want people in and out, and that is so you can abide by all the state public health orders and COVID safe practices and all those different things. And so, but in the meantime, you're now doing a lot of virtual events and offering your online services, and that's also what I wanted to remind folks about by having you on the show today.
Absolutely. That's the safest way to use the library, is to use our online resources. So that includes downloadable ebooks, audiobooks, and then we've got a bunch of databases that you can use for research. You can get great pics of Jenny Lee. You can get craft ideas from Creative Bug. This is something that Joanne's sells a subscription to. Don't pay for it. You get it for free with your library card, and then you use your PIN to log in. You create an account. Just tons of craft ideas, cake decorating, knitting, all kinds of different things. So now is the time to learn a new craft, so use Creative Bug from the safety of your own home.
Great. And I have a question about back to school parent resources now that we know that school is starting virtually. We don't know if it's going to continue to be virtual. But yeah, so tell us about possible resources for parents of school-age children.
There's way too many to talk about here. At 11 o'clock today, we're doing a virtual teacher orientation. So go to our calendar at infoway.org. Click on Virtual Teacher Orientation. It's for parents, teachers, anyone who needs to use these resources for school. And we're going to do a Zoom presentation of some of the best resources that we have for students. That includes live homework help, which is a live tutor online that can walk students through different problems. They have like a whiteboard. They can proofread your papers. There's a lot they can do. And then all the other databases that we have for students, we're going to present them all at 11 o'clock today on Zoom. So I encourage you to join that.
Very good. And you mentioned the homework help, Jaylee Ryan. I wanted to ask you a little bit about that because I know that is something that you offer all the time, but in times like these when maybe a lot of folks are considering, kids are going to be at home, we know school's going to be online to start, and so students may need a bit more help than usual with their homework as things get going, so that's another resource they can tap into, right?
Absolutely. So to use live homework help, it's available in the afternoons, and it is available in Spanish. You go to infoway.org. Actually, let me make sure I'm telling you the right thing. You go to infoway.org. Over on the left-hand side of the page, you're going to see online resources. Click that, and then you can find it alphabetically. So you're going to click on L, and Mary Lee is giving me a note.
Oh.
Passing notes in class.
Passing notes in class.
Yes, Live Homework Help was recently renamed tutor.com. So you're going to look under T for tutor.com.
Okay.
Great.
There we go.
So if I don't have a library card, how do I go about getting that during the shutdown time?
Okay, so you can go right now to infoway.org, okay, and you are going to get an e-card, okay? And when you get that e-card, you're going to bring in that e-card number and take it to the front desk, and they will get it converted to a regular library card. So if you get an e-card, you can use all the online resources without coming into the library for 120 days. To check out books, you want to convert that e-card to a regular library card, and you'll just need to come into the library with your photo ID and proof of a mailing address.
Got it. Okay. But folks can do that right now. We can do the e-card and access all those online resources that you mentioned today.
Do it right now. Go to infoway.org, look on the left side of the page, and it says Get a Library Card right under Events Calendar. Click that, and it'll walk you through.
Very good. And I know the library's been doing some other virtual events as well. You've had some trivia nights and some other things that folks have been able to join by Zoom, which is how we seem to be living these days. But those things are going to continue too?
Absolutely. So go to our calendar. Again, go to infoway.org. On the left side of the page, you're going to see Events Calendar. Click on that. You'll get the links to all of our Zoom trivia And then make sure you like us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/readfarmington. And that's where we're going to post our YouTube videos. So we've been recording in-house our story times and tween book talks. Every Tuesday, we'll post a video for a craft, and then when we open at 1 o'clock, you can start picking up the craft bags with craft supplies you can do at home. And then there's a video tutorial that we post on Facebook. You can also watch it on YouTube.
Great. And does the library have adjusted hours at this time, is part one of the question. Part two of the question is, if I'm trying to go through all this online stuff and I get stuck, is the library still staffed so I can just call and be walked through it real time?
We do have people here. You can call 599-1270 if you get stuck, and we can walk you through it as best we can. If you don't get anyone, leave a message. In fact, if you leave your library card number, it's even better. If you have, issues with your account, leave your library card number on the message, and we can take care of it when we have time. And we do have reduced hours. We're open Monday through Thursday, 1 to 6, and then Saturday, 10 to 2.
Very good. Okay. Well, Jay Lee, we appreciate you calling in this morning to bring us up to speed on what's going on at the library during this time, and for our audiences who are watching, we appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you very much. And again, we apologize about those photos. Well, I'll talk to the
I don't have
person
any
responsible.
apologies. I love them.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're not sorry at all.
Nope.
I've met you.
Well, thank you for calling in. It's been a pleasure. Jenny Lee Ryan from the Farmington Public Library, our guest here on KSJE. And there you go.
Yes.
So,
love the library. And
great
all of
resources.
So many good resources. It's hard. And, oftentimes we only think books, CDs, and DVDs, and we miss all the other e-resources. But
right.
now is the time.
Exactly. Well, and as Jenny Lee was saying, a lot of these things you would have to pay for separately, like the Creative Bug, and I know they have a lot of family history access if you want to do ancestry research and all that stuff. A lot of those services are also free with your library card. So I think that's a great stuff. Great resource. So anyway, we appreciate her calling in with the update.
Yes.
The photos were unfortunate, but what can you do?
I don't know. They had a nice 80s teen drama look to them.
I think so. That's
Bonfire
true.
of the Vanities, all of that.
Right. Lots of big hair. Yeah,
big hair.
Exactly.
Very big hair.
Exactly. So as we wrap up today, we have some more numbers to share.
Yes.
From the website. San Juan County, of course, has been collecting all the data that we share daily, and they kind of average it out. So the numbers that we show every day, it's always nice to show on Thursdays because the county is kind of showing how things are averaging out. And so as we take a look at the Navajo Nation, state of New Mexico, and San Juan County COVID cases, again, the kind of red, pink, magenta line is the state of New Mexico. And so we've seen it kind of going up and up and up. And now it is kind of coming back down, which
is good.
Should be good, right?
Yes.
So hopefully, when the governor does her next briefing, that will be confirmed at her level.
Right.
I would hope. San Juan County is in the blue line, which is at the very bottom of the screen, and that again has been kind of going down slowly, which is good after a little bit of a brief uptick there in late June. Navajo Nation is the green line on the screen, and that again is also heading in the downward trend, which again is good to see with these numbers of cases every day averaged out. So great to see that.
Yes.
And that's everything going in
Positive
the right
news.
direction. So that is good after the big spike. And that was what was concerning the state folks. As you can see, that big magenta line there going really peaking there.
Yes,
so
really peaking.
We hope it keeps coming back down. And then the other graph we want to share from San Juan County, these numbers of cases per 7 days. So again, it's the average. And so the yellow line is kind of hard to see on the screen, but we can kind of see it kind of coming down. It's kind of popped up just a little bit here the last week or so, but it is still kind of on a downward trajectory. And then the deaths would be the blue line along the bottom there. And again, still kind of very low. And we've almost been to maybe 0 for several days in a row. I think now it's at 3 is what that number shows. So, and last week it was 2, week before it was 6. So you can kind of see, which is great because it's no longer double digits like it was earlier this year, back in early June.
Right.
So we're like,
we like that.
We do. So we're all heading in the right direction. So that's important. So there's our numbers for this week. And we share them with you just so you can kind of see. And again, there's a lot of other information out there, so certainly make yourself available of some of the other public information that's coming out about this.
Absolutely.
So before we go, you have a story.
I do have a story.
Okay.
Per usual, full of interesting facts.
No,
right?
but it doesn't include a llama.
Well, gosh, yeah, you're right. I keep slacking on that.
We need to get a llama update.
Yeah.
I believe there's llama fans out there that really are just waiting.
Yes.
Waiting.
Yes.
But anyway.
Waiting with
Not
bated
today,
breath.
llama fans. I'm
No,
sorry.
sorry.
Check back Monday. But instead,
We have fashion news,
fashion
which
news.
I know that I'm not usually considered the fashionista.
Okay.
Certainly. But I opt for comfort.
Let's look at the two-shot
usually.
here. What do we got? Yeah, you're not. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Womp, womp, womp. Okay, so yeah, but I do opt for comfort usually. That's why.
You
right?
always look very comfortable.
I always like. That's a nice way of saying frumpy. No. So anyway, and so apparently is everybody else in the United States right now.
Okay,
So
because
Birkenstock sales have like skyrocketed during
What?
the pandemic.
Really?
Yes. Also, I had no idea that Birkenstocks as a company is 250 years old. Actually, they hit the market in colonial America 2 years before the Declaration of Independence was even forged.
You mentioned that to me. I found that very hard to believe, but it's
Isn't
true.
that weird? Like,
It-
can you imagine like Jefferson walking around in these things?
Well, I don't think that was what they were selling. Do you in 1760, really?
Did they move from muskets to sandals?
Well, I don't know. But
I don't know either.
I would think maybe it was a more buckle type shoe than a sandal.
That's probably true.
You know,
But the buckles, 250 years old.
Yeah.
Because those have buckles too.
they still do on
They
the Birkenstock sandals that we're so familiar with. But
Yeah.
that'd be interesting to see. So anyway,
So apparently
they've been around for a long time.
They've been around for a long
people
time.
Are buying
and
them.
they were becoming less of a comfort shoe and more of a fashion statement pre-pandemic. Like models in Paris were wearing them on the runway, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then now that people aren't necessarily going out to offices and stuff, you don't have to wear fancy footwear anymore. You can't see your feet on Zoom unless you're doing Zoom wrong.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
I can see like
True.
people's like shoulders and stuff.
Yeah.
If you adjust your camera right.
But people
So
are dressing for comfort.
People are dressing for
And
comfort.
Birkenstocks are comfortable.
And they're comfortable. Yeah.
Even though they're a little clunky and maybe, but the sales prove otherwise.
the
People
sales,
are buying them.
yeah.
So that's it.
And I always have, blue jeans is my favorite clothing item,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then comfortable shoes is like a rule. So I'll go to like a fancy event with Doc Martens, like a fancy dress and Doc Martens on, because I'm like, I have a hard pass on uncomfortable shoes.
Gotcha.
My lower back will thank me one day.
It will. That's probably true. So
Yeah.
no 4-inch heels in the...
Oh my gosh,
In your
I would
closet.
tip over like in a second.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever worn a heel in my life. So
I'd be worried about you on a windy day. I would. That would be bad.
it takes a skill that I don't have.
I gotcha.
Walking in heels. Yeah.
Gotcha. Birkenstock's good.
Birkenstocks
Sneakers
are
good.
great. Sneakers are great.
You're on it. Okay.
Boots are great. Yeah.
There you go. So apparently COVID equals comfortable fashion.
That's right. So
There you go.
whatever.
Okay.
Maybe they're yeah. I was gonna say they're probably on sale, and I'm like, they're probably not actually. Supply and demand
Don't know.
dictates they
That
might
could
be
be.
more expensive than ever. But anyway,
But that's true. Well, anyway. Well, enjoy whatever you're wearing to be comfortable with, everybody. And we thank you for joining us. But that is our program for today. So stay safe and stay well, everyone. Wear your masks, wash your hands, and practice physical distancing when you're out and about. And we will be back with you on Monday to share all the latest news. Thanks
See ya.
very much. Have a good Thursday, everyone. Bye-bye.